are listening to Now the Final Word, the podcast that talks with the stars of now, all things pro wrestling, and any insider scoop you must hear. Here are your hosts, Ryan and Lonnie.
What is up, podcast land? Welcome to Now the Final Word with Ryan and Lonnie. My name is Ryan, and of course, wearing his scarf and scarf only, Lonnie.
How are you?
I thought my Thanksgiving weekend couldn't have gone any worse, and then I showed up tonight.
What? That is... Do you need a hug?
Maybe later.
I know what will make your night better.
What's that?
We got our Now This Is Wrestling Christmas cards.
We have Now This Is Wrestling Christmas cards?
Yeah, open it up. You didn't get... I got them. I checked our mail. Go ahead and open yours up.
Did you got one too? Why am I opening mine up first?
Well, because I'm not rude.
If I swear to God, if this is you in front of a fireplace and just your scarf, I will protest.
I don't know what it is.
What is this, a Christmas list?
Read it.
Dear Ryan, Merry Christmas. You've done a great job this year, and everyone at Now wishes you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Signed, Logan and Jeremy.
That's sweet.
That's very nice.
That's very nice. I got one too. I'll read mine.
Yours is longer.
Dear Mr. Elder. Well, mine's very
formal.
Oh,
boy.
This is a cease and desist letter from Now This Is Wrestling legal team. Oh, that's
just
not
so
as formal.
Moving. Oh, my goodness.
We hereby forward this no longer allowed you to use any adjectives to describe Now This Is Wrestling talent, beginning with the letter A, such as and including awesome and amazing. Failure to comply to this cease and desist letter will result in further disciplinary actions and up to and including public execution. Oh, Merry Christmas. Mine's a letter too. Now legal team, co-signed Jeremy Lubash and Logan Davis.
Did it say public execution? Is that what it said?
It's a Christmas letter.
All right, if that's what you say.
Merry Christmas.
Great. Okay. Yeah, that happened. Great. Well, how was your Thanksgiving, Lonnie?
I ate so many carbs.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to give mine up here, so I'm glad I got rid of mine, or got that out of the way here. But anyway, Week in Wrestling. This is the first final word here on the Now the Final Word podcast. Apparently there was a televised house show.
Oh, a Starcade.
Sunday night?
Yeah, like 60-minute Starcade.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't able to watch it. But coming into it, looking at it, there really wasn't much publicity about it.
No.
And I realized that they're doing these, what they're called, house shows, basically, and televising them on the network.
Right.
But if you look at the photos and different things, there weren't that many people there.
No, that's what it is. It was a legitimate house show just to give you more content on the network. It's really all it was. I think they've done it a couple times at this point, but I think there was 3 matches on the night. I think there was a Kevin Owens show that was legitimately a couple chairs in the ring.
It was him and Ric Flair, and Ric Flair went off script and just started ranting about stuff that was happening backstage.
Ric Flair is an old man time at this point where I don't think you can keep him on script. I don't think his life is on script at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he wakes up and that's his life on script. Beyond that point, I don't.
Yeah. So let's talk about this week in wrestling. So Friday night, on Friday Night SmackDown, all day of Friday, they had teased the fact that Bray Wyatt would be introducing a new character on the Firefly Funhouse, excuse me. And all they didn't 3 or 4 different segments, didn't introduce anything except a brand new handcrafted Fiend Universal title belt.
That seemed like something I would make in my bedroom if I was better at arts and crafts.
Well, let's go to this. So according to WWEshop.com, they have released a handcrafted Fiend Universal title belt Do you know how much they're selling these things for?
I'm sure like thousands of dollars.
$6,499.99. And I looked it up and I'm like, this can't be real. But apparently these are handcrafted by the godfather of gore.
Tom Savini?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
In his special effects studio. So these are all handcrafted in his studio for $6,500.
That's a Ford Focus.
Like, that is like 2 WrestleMania tickets.
Like in
That's
the
a Ford
nosebleeds.
Focus. I know there are some diehard WWE fans out there that would pretty much like do anything and get anything that is out there, but this is a little extreme.
It's so ugly though.
Yeah, and apparently it was defended at Starrcade Sunday night against Braun Strowman, and
in a dark match.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Friday Night SmackDown. They're teasing a face turn, a like full on face turn for Daniel Bryan, teasing a new look for him coming this week on Friday Night SmackDown.
Was it because he got pulled under the ring?
And the hair.
The hair?
I think that's what it is.
Is it beard hair or is it hair?
I think it's hair. I think Daniel Bryan is going back to how he looked coming into WWE with the origin of the NXT days. I don't know. His character's kind of been stale the last couple of months or so since Rowan, and Rowan's a whole nother story. Him carting around that small lion cage that's covered up and won't. I don't know.
Well, what was the deal with Bray popping out of the ring and then like doing his whack-a-mole impression and then having his coat off real quick? Like, what was the conspiracy theory behind that? Like, he was a different person who popped up.
I don't know if it's to symbolize that they're two different people, or if that, the Fiend can coexist at the same time as Bray Wyatt.
Well, I've heard rumors that, it was Liv Morgan.
Right.
But how are you going to mistake a 105-pound woman for a 300-pound tattoo-covered, dreadlocked man?
Well, and that's the thing, though. That was the rumor of who the new character was going to be.
Well, that's been the rumor for a year at this point.
Well, and if you look at photos that's been released of her, on promotional things for Total Divas and all of these other things, she's completely changed her look.
She's got blonde hair at this point.
Well, it's almost like platinum, like silver gray now at this point.
Well, if you have to hang out on Total Divas, of course your hair is going to go gray.
Fair point. Also this week, I'm going to give a shout out to another podcast, and I know I probably shouldn't do this, but to celebrate their 5-year anniversary, The New Day started an official podcast as part of the WWE umbrella.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
They don't make enough money to begin
right.
with.
And like Xavier doesn't have, multi-million follower YouTube channel that would game. Right. But anyway, but basically this first episode was talk about the origin of the New Day when Xavier originally pitched it to creative, and everybody was like going at him about how they were the new Nation of Domination,
right?
And how he didn't want it that way. And they had pointed out how each of them at that time, Big E had just started. He was the Intercontinental Champion at that time. He had just dropped it to Wade Barrett.
Right. He was with Ziggler and AJ Lee, wasn't
right,
he?
at that time. But I think something had happened in that storyline where they had dropped him and he had just gone off on his own.
Okay.
Kofi Kingston at that point was very stagnant.
I think he was jobber at that time.
Right. This would have been 2014.
So it was after Punk?
Yes.
After Tag Team Punk, yeah.
Yep. And then Xavier Woods was in a weird match.
He was managing at that time.
He was wrestling before that.
Was he? Okay.
But he came out in that white suit with the two of them in the ring, and that's how the New Day started.
Yeah.
But they were talking about how that had all started. Mm-hmm. And there was a WWE.com exclusive the other night it was Kofi and Big E backstage interviewing whatever. and Vince McMahon actually came up behind him on their promo and was like, he said something to the effect of, I don't remember what he said, but it was literally about giving him praise. And Kofi's like, whoa, if he said it, that means we're doing something. But it was like 5. Can you imagine the New Day has been in WWE for 5 years and the growth that has happened in that?
It's incredible, yeah. And considering what they were, but you got to think Big E was a thing. Like, he was big in NXT.
The 5 count?
Well,
and he's out.
Yeah.
The 5 count. And he even talks about that too. He'll talk about that to this day if you ask him. So anything else in this week of wrestling?
They once again tried to murder Adam Cole.
Keith Lee. Okay, so if you did not see this on NXT, this ended the night. And Keith Lee had joked, God, who did he was talking with somebody backstage and he was like, gosh, how great it would be if you just chucked somebody off the ramp.
Right.
Unbeknownst to me and everybody else, it would be Adam Cole from the ramp chucking him 3 rows into Full Sail. Just like full on like linebacker rushing him.
Right. And the best things about that whole segment were that they didn't like go with him. Like, they kept the frame on Keith Lee. So he was in the frame and then he was out of the frame. So that's like he disappeared.
Yep.
And then in the promo after they cut with Keith Lee, his like whole big thing of I'm going to jerk your knot in your tail. Did you hear that in his promo?
No, I did not hear that.
That was fantastic. It was the best thing they did with the promo.
Are you sure that's what they said?
It was 100% word for word.
Huh. And what I loved about that is they kept saying that it was Ciampa, it was Lee, it was Djokovic, and it was who was the 4th one in the ring?
It was Strong.
Yeah, no, Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
No, with the 3 of them in the ring. I don't know. They kept saying that they were the Iron Men of NXT. So I don't know if that is going to mean that there is going to be
Oh, no. It was who was it? It was I thought it was Ciampa.
Because it was Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle was in the ring with them. So it was Riddle, Ciampa, and Keith Lee, and Djokovic.
Was it Djokovic? I thought Prince Balor was in there too.
It was Djokovic because Prince Balor wouldn't be in the ring with those 3 right now.
Djokovic shouldn't be in that ring with those.
Well, I said last week he shouldn't have been in that War Games match either. But they kept saying that they were the Iron Men of NXT. So I have a feeling this is going to go 2 ways. It's either going to be an 8-man Iron Man match or an Iron Man match between Ciampa and Adam Cole.
I can see that. I can see that happening, but they would need to do something special to make an Iron Man match a thing. I think Iron Man matches have kind of lost their.
Well, that's why I think
stroke.
if they add a wrinkle of an 8-man Iron Man match,
I think that would almost be too much. Like, I think they would need to do like a triple threat Iron Man match. I think would be cool. But I think an 8-man going from like a regular to an 8-man.
So would
be like normal to 11.
So would you do? So if they go triple threat route, would you do Cole, Ciampa, Balor?
Yeah, or Cole, Ciampa, bro.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
No, he lost the Balor. So at that point, if we're talking,
I don't think you really need to push Balor. I think Balor's push is pretty organic at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they just need to give the belt to. They need to get the belt off of Cole. They need to, and it's not a call up anymore.
No, it's a lateral move.
It's a lateral move.
Speaking of lateral moves, did you see they made a big deal about the first female referee?
Yeah.
Having the lateral move over to SmackDown.
That's awesome.
Her name is Jess, and
good for her.
Very well deserved.
She's no Aubrey, but good for her.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the now mailbag here, our
There's
producers
so many circles and crosses on that board.
our production team keeps adding adjectives and to Lonnie's list, folks.
That's not mine. That's
oh,
on
it's
you.
mine. That's me. Okay. Well, I now have a cease and desist order now. Great. So before we get
Welcome
to
to
the
No Club.
Great. Well, at least my letter wasn't like public execution. Like, we're going to stone you and tar you and feather in a public square.
I didn't flip over, but on the back of the letter it says P.S. Put some damn clothes on.
I told you HR would be called here shortly. Anyway, before we get to the now mailbag, our producers have insisted that we play a new game in each podcast that we have been tasked with saying a phrase or a word and tie it in somehow with our podcast. And I'm gonna throw a little caveat in here. If you listen to this and you can figure out either of ours or both of ours, message us on our Facebook, Now the Final Word on Facebook, or you can email us at nowthefinalword@gmail.com, and we'll give you a shout out on our podcast. And I have a feeling, Lonnie, you've already succeeded. So you'll have to go back and listen if you were paying attention or not.
It's going to be a twofer. I'm going to do another one.
You're going to do another one?
Yeah, since it's week 1. I didn't know you were going to do this, so I'll get another one.
Well, Anyway, all right, the now mailbag. All right, folks, let's pull this up.
I am terrified. You guys are some crazy people.
All right. This is from Stephanie. She says, "Hi, Ryan and Lonnie. Great podcast so far. I've enjoyed listening to you. Keep on growing. My question is, what do you personally think about fans' use of signs during a wrestling show? And what does Now think about it? The best sign I ever saw at a show was a giant pickle. Would that be welcome and or appropriate at a Now show?"
Stephanie, great question. First part, I'm going to say signs are great. Please bring signs and support the talent. They love to see it as much as we do. Support them, support the brand. But the second part I have to say is pickles are disgusting. You can leave that sign at home.
So here's my thought process here. So you take someone like Buns of Steel Fowler. My God.
Take Buns of Steel J Flower.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm not on the top of the list.
My God, our budget has improved. We got sound effects now. This is great. Oh, I love it. Jay Fowler. Buns of Steel Jay Fowler, where he literally comes out to a we're gonna have to edit this in post. He literally comes out to a peach emoji on his entrance video. So I mean, we're just an eggplant away from a lawsuit, I think, at this point. So pickles aren't that bad. You have a question? No.
Why not? Barry from Bellevue asks, what are your thoughts on AEW and NXT Wednesday Night Wars? Who are each of you more prone to watch?
Personally, I tape both of them, but I will watch NXT live.
Okay.
When I am home and I'm able to, I will watch NXT live because for this fact, if you actually look at, there was a photo taken of them in Chicago on Wednesday night. Half of their arena was empty. And it's not that I'm not entertained with what's happening in AEW. I actually find that their Be the Elite YouTube content is actually more entertaining than some of the things and the promos that are happening on TNT.
That's fair. I don't know why I just turned 14 again, but
well, the whole room just turned 14 again.
That's a pretty blanket hornpipe statement. It's pretty basic. I love AEW just because I've been with AEW from the beginning. I was watching from All In. I've I was at Fight for the Fallen. I've tried to get tickets to all the events, but I've only got the Fight for the Fallen. So I'm an AEW mark. It's really gotten pretty soft, though.
Yeah, I honestly, the most entertaining thing right now, there are two things.
Having wrestling on Wednesdays.
That too. But in AEW right now, it's Jungle Express and it's the Inner Circle. And I'll tell you why.
Inner Circle, yes.
Inner Circle, the fact that Chris Jericho at this point in his career can continue to develop and evolve his character.
At 50.
I don't think the age matters at this point. Just being this long into a career and not resting on your laurels of things that have happened into you in the past, but being able to evolve and create new things. Le Champion, a little bit of the bubbly, like things. I don't know if Jericho is one of those people where he will say something, and if it sticks, he's going to immediately go with it.
Right.
Like, and that has worked with him in the past. Like, you just made the list. Huge. Mm-hmm. Went with it, kept going with it. But like I said, that and Jungle Express, and now that Luchasaurus is back after that non-contact hamstring injury that he had. Right. I like I said, that little trio, and I don't know, I can't remember his name, but the little short guy.
Marco Stein.
Oh my God. And the crowd loves him. Absolutely loves him.
And the problem with him is, though, like, they will only see him as like the 5'3", 100-pound dude, but he's actually a good worker.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty good at what he does. And he's 22, I think.
Yeah.
He's
young.
Well,
yeah. So is Jungle Boy, too. Jungle Boy's young, too.
Yeah.
So me personally, I will, if I have a choice to watch, I will watch NXT. You are AEW?
I'm AEW, but the great thing is we don't have to choose. We can do both.
Yeah.
We got wrestling on Wednesdays.
That's right. All right. This next question and email comes from Michelle, and she is getting a little personal. She wants to know if we are married and are our wives wrestling fans as well. Lonnie?
Yes and yes.
And for myself, yes and no. And here's a funny story. So we're watching WrestleMania 2 years ago. It was right before my wife and I got married. And it was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And Dolph Ziggler comes out in his pink tights, like he always does. But instead of knowing them by their names, she would go, "Oh, pink tights is still in the match. Oh, pink tights just got eliminated." She now knows who Becky Lynch is. Just by the couple episodes that she has watched, she hates Baron Corbin. Like, absolutely hates Baron Corbin. Like, she will flip him off every time he's on the screen. Okay. Like, and that's just a testament. Some people don't like him. What he's doing is really good. Problem is, he can never not play a heel.
Right. He
will never be a face. As hard as they will try to, he's that type of personality that it won't work on him. But yeah, so yes, both Lonnie and I are married. Your wife likes wrestling.
She's a mark, yeah.
My wife, I mean, I've taken a lariat from Joey Anderson. The first time Now invaded Magnum Pro, I got boots laid to me. I got thrown into the ring by Devin Thomas. And my wife will not watch those things. Just because of the violence aspect, she doesn't want to see me hurt, obviously. Yeah.
Mine has sat through quite a few wrestling seminars. She's sat through quite a few camps. She's been to dozens of indie shows, quite a few national shows. She's sat through hundreds of pay-per-views. She can name tons of people. So
yeah. What else we got?
I got a question here.
Yeah.
And this is 100% you, so I want you to put on your therapist
Me?
cap. Yep. From Dustin in Omaha.
God, okay, I'm ready.
Dustin asked, "Do you think Corey Graves is a bully, or is Mauro Ranallo a baby?" With the whole tweet from Corey Graves about Mauro Ranallo.
Is both an answer? Because honestly,
answer very carefully.
So okay, here
I don't want to get a shutdown on episode 4.
No, I understand that. And here's my honest to God opinion. This is not the first time Mario has had his feelings hurt from another another commentator.
Well, you just hurt his feelings again because his name is Morrow.
Morrow?
Morrow. He's not collecting coins with his brother Luigi.
Mamma mia. Okay. No, honest to God opinion. If you're that susceptible to getting your feelings hurt over a tweet or something that happens, I understand in this profession, in the business of you talking on a daily basis to millions of people, you have to have a bit of a spine to be able to get rid and weed out the negativity that's coming towards you. However, if it's coming straight from a colleague, that's different. And the fact that that's one of the problems with society today is we are more susceptible to air out our laundry over social media in a text message instead of if you have a problem with it face to face. I currently am dealing with that myself. You know, I have some issues with some people that I have not been able to address, and I'm hoping that I can address that at some point. I am mustering up the courage to do that, and it's very hard for me to do. But at this point, you have to be an adult about it. And you have to be the bigger man. You have to be more mature. The fact that Booker T this morning, this is Monday morning, said that he needs to man up and talk to the guy. And this is coming from Booker T, who has sat behind the commentary desk, has done his work in the commentary world and in the professional wrestling business, telling this to the guy to say, man up, come back to work. So the answer to this question is very convoluted. And I'm honestly going to say it's both. Corey Graves doesn't have a filter. He will say whatever he wants. Him and CM Punk are very relatable in that aspect. Corey Graves, at some point, and this is my own personal opinion, needs to learn how to shut his mouth and stop typing on Twitter. And I could say that for a lot of people, because a lot of people have their own insecurities and don't know how to confront people that they have issues with.
Right.
So that is my personal opinion. How about you?
And you know, from someone who has dealt with the mental disabilities and the uncomfort of watching friends with those problems, I feel like I've seen people in his scenario before. So saying that he needs to toughen up is the wrong way about it. He's amazing at what he does, but maybe this isn't the right environment for him. He was amazing in Pride. When he was a Pride commentator, he was amazing at what he did, and he never had these problems. You never heard about Mauro Ranallo having problems in Pride. And I would even say that was more of an alpha male dynamic than the WWE. But maybe because they weren't playing characters, playing blown out proportions of themselves, where attitudes were more inflated. But he didn't have those problems. So maybe the WWE isn't the right fit for his mental state.
Well, and I don't want to, put a label on it or like speculate on anything, but Mauro is strictly a commentator.
Right.
He's not never has been an in-ring performer.
No.
Corey Graves was an in-ring performer, had a very nasty neck injury that ended his wrestling career.
And was kept on. They showed such confidence in him.
So
they wanted to keep him, yeah.
I don't know if it's professional jealousy that ended up this being lashing out towards Mauro, just because of the lateral shift that everything had happened. It's amazing to think if that flight in Saudi Arabia ever took off, if any of this would have happened.
Yeah.
If NXT would have showed up on Friday Night SmackDown, if they would have been even involved with Survivor Series.
Right. But it's also one of those things, too. It's like you said, Corey Graves, he's going to say what he says. And that's just what he is. They are different brands, so they are different products, and they have to treat it like that. Yep. But let's not dwell on it. Let's move on.
And I'd love to hear what you guys think, too. So make sure to post on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Now the Final Word, and our email, nowthefinalword@gmail.com. All right, our final piece of mail in our mailbag before we get to Now Talk comes from Diane in Oakland. What is your favorite wrestling-related movie and why?
It's not even a question. That would be No Holds Barred, starring Tiny Listener and Hulk Hogan. Just because how absurd it is. And I get to see the light blue, the WWE Double Eagle belt.
My absolute favorite wrestling movie, hands down, is Ready to Rumble.
That almost came out of my mouth.
Did it really?
Simply for the banana scene where
Jimmy
he walks
King
up.
Is the best wrestler. Anyway, better than all the wrestler. Great movie. And the fact that I don't know whose idea it was, but it was basically the entire WCW roster.
And John Cena. John Cena's in that movie.
Oh, that's right. He was in the gym scene, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Well, Cena worked for WCW before he went to the power plant in Ohio, right?
I think he was in the power plant for a while, yeah.
Yeah. Before he went to, what is it?
OVW.
OVW.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that you have a relatable character in Jimmy King, not to mention you have David Arquette, who ends up like being a wrestler in the movie to direct storyline connectivity into the actual WCW at the time. And I don't know if it was just like a movie stunt or whatever, but like he was WCW champion.
Well, let's think about all the other celebrities, and I'm quoting celebrities who were in WCW. Chucky cut a promo. There was the Terminator came out and saved Sting.
Wasn't the
not Terminator?
Wasn't the skeleton from Tales from the Crypt in WCW too?
Yeah, he cut a promo against Scott Steiner, I think. RoboCop. It was
That's
RoboCop
right.
came and helped out Sting.
Yep.
There was the Misfits teamed with Vampiro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, brother. Yeah.
It was just a mess. I love WCW. Like when everyone was talking about how great WWF and WWE, the Attitude Era was, I was that little nerd flipping between fishing and WCW, wearing a cowboy hat in the country. Like that was me. I was Ted Turner's bastard offspring. Drinking my RC cola.
What I love about Ready to Rumble is the direct parallel storyline that it's DDP screwing over Jimmy King as a direct parallel to the Montreal Screwjob.
Right.
And it's the beginning of the movie, and it's what causes him. And yeah, anyway, yeah. So it would be Ready to Rumble.
Big on.
Alrighty, folks, it's now time for Now Talk. On our last episode in our podcast, we had Jayden Draigo. And if you haven't heard part one of that interview, I suggest you hit pause right now and go back and listen to that first half, because what we're about to do, you're going to be completely lost. So he was talking about his origins, of how he began in wrestling, the Shawn Michaels School of Wrestling, and how that all turned out, and how he ended up in Omaha with OWA. So we're going to continue on with part two here with Jayden Draigo.
When I first met you, you were working Bulletproof.
Bulletproof was cool. I mean, Bulletproof, that was all Nate's idea. He kind of said that he wanted us to be, suit wearers, classy, stable. And then Mikey Danger tried to get in on that. That didn't last very long. Strife let me end up super kicking him because he knew I was just irritated with the whole thing. And it did, whatever. We all know Mikey Danger and the type of person he is, but I mean, without that being even in the equation or even in the decision-making process, Mikey didn't fit what we were trying to do.
Right.
Just as simple as that. He just didn't fit. that's not a negative thing towards him. He just wasn't the guy to be with us in Nate's vision.
Right.
And so, you know, to me, that's why that version of Bulletproof never really got off the ground.
Right.
You know, it wasn't until the whole Mikey thing came and went that Bulletproof was kind of redesigned. But then I think at that point in time too, I think we had kind of lost sight of what the whole point of it was originally. And so I don't think Bulletproof ever really lived up to what it should have and could have been. And I just think it was just unmotivation created by the situation.
Right. The longest reigning Magnum tag team of all time is what it was.
Yeah. You know, and that, man, when I think about that, 676 days, I think.
Yep.
With my boy TJ Benson, I mean, man, when I think about that, not that it means anything because it doesn't, but nobody around here will ever touch that, man. Like, that'll be a thing for probably maybe forever.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything, and nobody's going to remember. But I remember, and it's kind of cool to think about. And the many of, also too, you know, because we held those titles for so long, so many guys came in and out during us being tag champs that, man, we had matches against like pretty much every tag team that was around here.
The Regal Twins. I remember that match. You guys against the Regal Twins that night.
Yeah, the Regal Twins, and yeah, man, that
There's so many people coming in and out.
That poor kid, man. The Regal Twins. That was the night. That was the night that kid knocked me out.
Yeah, I was.
No, hold on. Let me take that back. He didn't knock me out because he was super apologetic, and I really respect the way that kid reacted. But he felt so bad. But it was just a situational thing, man. And not for 1 second have I ever blamed him for it or been like, man, I hate that kid. No, not at all. Just and the other thing that was bad about it was like 3 minutes into the match, man. You know, and so what it was I was in there. It was a tag. I was tagging with Tony. I was in their corner, and we were just running a simple spot where I shoot the dude off across from his corner, so he hits the far ropes. As he's coming back at me, he ducks my line and tags. So as he ducks my line, I kind of take the Billy Gunn stagger and to stall for a second. And as I turn around, I know that when he makes the tag, his partner, his twin brother, is coming off the top rope with a crossbody. So as I turn around, he's already in the air. And I can tell that he has overshot me. But that doesn't mean I'm still not going to catch him. I'm going to catch him. I just have to adjust. And even the photos that exist online about this moment right before it happens, you can see both my arms are way up. You know, I've got one up over my head and one underneath because I'm going to try to trap him and grab him, right? And my feet are so far out in front of me as I'm, you know, and that was just the recipe for disaster. So what happened was I caught him. I certainly caught him. But it was his hip on my head and then the mat.
Gotcha.
And so as soon as we landed, that's the last thing I remember up until I woke up in the ring.
Yeah.
And so later on, I saw footage of it. I only watched it one time. But the crazy thing is after we took the bump, both of my fingers were like curling in to my elbows. And so I grabbed one of my deformed hands and I'm trying to straighten out the other deformed hand.
Yep.
And in the process of that, just out I go. But I don't remember any of that. And then I remember waking up with the camera guy Gary and Seidel, who had my boots off.
Yep. Yeah.
And I remember Seidel, man. He's such a good dude.
Yeah.
I remember I went to get up and Gary puts his hands on me and he's like, No, kid, just stay put. And I'm like, Gary, what happened? And he's like, well, you got knocked out. And I was like, okay, let me up. And he goes, no, we have the ambulance coming. And I go, oh, what did you guys do? What have you done? That was a $1,000 ambulance ride. Went to the hospital in my wrestling tights.
Yeah, and that was a time where I wasn't working for Magnum yet. I was still a fan, and like as a fan, that was probably the scariest 15 minutes I've ever. I mean, no, and like you said, like finding you were just fine the next, like you were. I mean, obviously you went through. But as a fan, like I was really concerned about you that night, and getting to know who you are now. It's been really cool to be on this side, actually, to call you a friend and to get to know you as a person. And
I appreciate that, man.
Just to know that everything was fine. And like I said, that was the scariest 15 minutes of my life as a fan.
And see, like, I feel bad about that. I hate to create that feeling within anyone that's watching. At the end of the day, for me, it was more embarrassing than anything else. You know, like, how many cross bodies have I caught in my life? You know, like, and it's funny, like, that's how you normally get hurt. It's things that you've done 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this one fluke time of something you've done 100 times before, something just is wrong, and boom, you know? Like, guys blowing their knees out doing leapfrogs. Like, that's ridiculous, you know? And so it's like the same situation. Something that I had done, something that I never, other than me realizing right away that he overshot me, I never was like, uh-oh, or, oh, this is going to be bad. You know, no. I was just going to adjust and catch him, which is what I did, and it was fine. But he just landed on my head and knocked me out. And, man, when I was I'm in the hospital in my wrestling tights. They've got all these things on my chest. My hair's greasy. I'm greasy. And here he comes. Here they both come. And as soon as he walks in, man, he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. Throws his arms on me, right? He's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Like, he was crying. I'm like, bro, I really appreciate that, man. But, you know, no ill will. Yeah. Just one of those things that happened. I've never for 1 second held it against him or anything like that. I mean, it's just I know what I'm signing up for, man. Yep. We all know that it could happen. And just unfortunately in that moment it did. But those two guys are class acts and great talents, and I wish them the best. You know, great kids. They conduct themselves awesome in the locker room, which lots of guys these days have lost sight of. They're shining examples of what at the very least a professional indie wrestler should be and act. Are those two guys? That's the definition of those two kids.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think they're in a New Japan tag team tournament.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing to see the people that have come through Omaha on the indie circuit who are now on TV. They're in New Japan. They're on Ring of Honor.
Dude, I was watching the PPV last night, and I was like, Akira Tozawa.
Yeah.
You know, Magnum Cup. You know, I remember him wrestling for Magnum in the bingo hall. You know, and not only that, but, I mean, dude, like Mustafa Ali.
Well, AJ Styles.
I mean, yeah, there's
Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler. She's been on so many shows, and
yeah, you think about all the people. And when my first show coming to Magnum was the Drew McIntyre, Stevie Richards,
Trevor Rhodes.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Murdoch, on my bad.
Yeah, no, you're fine. But that was my first show at the Ramada Inn. I'd never seen the show before, never heard of Magnum.
Oh, that was a great first show.
It was a great, I know, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
At that point, there was like 2 or 3 years where I didn't miss a Magnum show. And there was an opportunity to be able to come on the other side, and that's you and TJ with Bulletproof was some of the first stuff I did as an interviewer with Magnum.
Right on.
So I grew up into the business with you. So I like a friend, mentor. That I just think of you that highly.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So you started out promoting me and TJ. So you started out just promoting me.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
I just wanted to be clear.
No, absolutely. No, 100% correct.
No, nothing to TJ. He just didn't talk for like the first 6 months of our reign.
Well, he was just so new. I mean, he was just that MMA guy who just stood there and kicked people's faces.
You know what's funny? I mean, just for some insight on that, all that was ever supposed to be is we knew TJ wanted to learn, and we knew he wanted to be a pro wrestler, right? So Strife and I had always talked about, I used to always kind of jokingly say, just put him with me. Just let us be a tag team for however long. I'll teach him some stuff, and then he can grow from there.
Yep.
That's all that it was supposed to be. You know, and Strife was like, okay, well, you know, come up with a gimmick or something. And so that was when, you know, TJ's like, hey, man, these Vendetta masks are cool. And I'm like, hey, we can just do the purge. We're here to purge. I'm like, boom, there we go. I was like, here's our gimmick, man. We're here to purge. I would have never believed it would have turned into what it did because it wasn't supposed to.
So before we move on and talk about your role here and now, so tell me tell me about people you want to work or people you never got to work when you were working regularly. Who are some people you wanted to share the ring with?
Early on, man, I was very fortunate to share the ring with people that would have been the answer to this question now. Man, within my first probably 20 matches, I think I had 3 or 4 with Chris Hero, which was great. Actually, one was so we laughed about this later. So one was a 3-way, and we're in a barn in the middle of Indiana for IWA, wrestling in this barn, and I think there were chickens present. And so I'm in this 3-way, and I'm up on the top rope, and so Hero was just going to come up and crotch me on the top rope. Well, so he comes from in front of me and just pushes my feet. No big deal. I'm ready to take the crotch, right? Well, the thing is I don't know if I was too excited or what happened exactly, but I ended up pretty much taking the ring post right up my ass. And so as Hero leans over to hook me in the superplex, he's like, "Are you ready, brother?" And I go, "Hold on, I have a ring post up my ass." And so I remember he let go, and we traded some shots, and it was almost like he just wanted to see how I was sitting. And as we're trading shots, he's like laughing at me, and he's like, "Okay, it's time to go," And so, but anyway, to answer your question, so at one point in time, we were trying to bring in Marty Jannetty. And I emailed him a couple of times, and we spoke, had a couple of correspondence. The problem was he wanted to fly out of, I think it was Columbus, Georgia, which made it a little bit more expensive than if he would have been willing to have gone to Atlanta or something. Mm-hmm. It was something along those lines. And just whatever it was, we just couldn't make it work. But man, we had this whole angle and idea set up, and I don't know how it would have played out, but how I would have liked it to have played out was I would have liked to have tagged with him, early on, had a tag match with him, and turned on him like Sean did, but then I wanted to put Marty over at the end of the night, because I never felt like Marty ever received any kind of redemption, and not that me giving him any kind of redemption would have meant a hill of beans, but I just kind of felt like it would have been the right thing to do. Let's just put over Jannetty for once. The guy freaking deserves it. Yeah. Not only that, man, but when I was a kid, I loved watching that dude. I thought that dude was awesome, and he just never really garnered the respect that he should have. And think about this too, man. The Rockers existed in a time where if you were 275 or smaller, you didn't belong on TV.
Right.
And not only did those guys exist in that time, but they thrived in that time. Right. They kicked down doors and they changed the game. So I feel like Marty, on some level, needs to be recognized for that. But anyway, that's the answer to my question. Marty Jannetty, I would have loved that. That would have been. I know you're probably expecting me to say oh, the Macho Man or oh, Andre the Giant. No, just Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, we're here on the Now This Is the Final Word podcast with Senior Talent Development for Now This is Wrestling, Jayden Draigo. So let's talk about your involvement with Now. Why now? Why join in with Now This Is Wrestling?
I just had kind of felt like maybe wrestling was kind of done with me, maybe for good. I kind of look at wrestling as you're like a toy out of a toy box. And when the business is done playing with you, you're put back in the toy box and another toy is brought out. And it's just this rotation of what it is. That's why if anybody walks around thinking that pro wrestling owes them something, they're wrong, because it doesn't owe me or anyone else anything. So I just thought that it was done with me. And then it was brought to my attention that maybe it wasn't, and that maybe I still had an opportunity to give back and help create and help book and help with anything. And that's awesome to me. I realize that I have less matches in front of me at this point than more, and I've slowly accepted that in my head, that one day I will confidently say that there are no more matches in me. But to not know that for sure right now and still be able to be a part of something and watch something, because let's face it, man, we've watched lots of companies in this area like really grow and really become something. Why that growth stopped is debatable within every company, and that's a whole other conversation. But for right now is growing and thriving and has a lot of interest and does really well with sparking public conversation. Even when I'm at work, I have people that I don't really know that want to talk to me about now or ask me where they can get tickets or, so I mean, it's out there and it's talked about and that's exciting, man. And so, if I can watch this company grow, like I've watched a couple of other companies in this area grow, and if this company can not only do that, but maintain that, now will exist always. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah. So in your position with Now, give us some of your takeaways from Phase 2 back in August. Your personal takeaways from our last show at the Beardmore.
So, I stood out in the back of the crowd, in the shadows, but in the room, and I watched every single match, man. Every single match I watched. A couple, I helped construct. And so it's nice to watch those matches just to see kind of how your baby is born, I guess, to kind of put it in a weird way. Yeah. So, that's always exciting to watch your idea be played out by others successfully, super rewarding. But so, I watched the whole card out in the room along with the fans just in the shadows. And, the wrestling fan in me always says, okay, I'm going to go take a piss this next one. Okay, I'm going to go take a piss this next one. As wrestling fans, we all try to decipher what that match is going to be that's going to allow us to go take a piss. When I was at Phase 2, I did not want to walk away to take a piss. And I had to piss. But I didn't want to walk away.
Right.
And there were a couple matches, and I didn't even want to say which ones I thought they were going to be. That I was like, okay, here's a window. Okay, here's a window. And I start watching, and it starts out so good, and it maintains that such good quality matchmanship that you got to stay with it till the end, And so there were two matches that both did that to me. So my takeaway is maybe from start to finish, maybe the best professional wrestling show that there's ever been in this area. I mean, and hats off to everyone, because you can't just say, well, the bookers get that credit. No. They get some of it because they constructed the show.
Right. But,
dude, all the work that was done by all the wrestlers, everybody that was in a match, that's who you take your hats off to.
Yeah.
Because they went out there and, think about it like, and talking about a major league game or something compared to this is kind of not fair, but everybody was clutch, is what I'm alluding to. Nobody dropped the ball. Nobody gave up the run. Nobody showed the light. I mean, it was hats off to everyone. So what are my takeaways from Phase 2? Let's just go to Phase 3. Let's just get there. I mean, I'm excited, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
The last show was freaking amazing. And everybody that was there, man, had so much fun. And the chants that broke out and the deaf kids that followed along the whole show. They knew everything that was happening. I mean, the whole place was invested from beginning to end. And that is what's hard to create. But it was created and it was maintained and fulfilled. And those people that left that show did not think twice about whatever they spent on their ticket.
Right.
Because they were just happy to have been at that show.
And now, in the position you're in and helping talent, is there any new talent or talent that's on this next card that you're excited about growing, seeing where they end up?
I like seeing anybody grow, anybody that wants to learn, anybody that, and it's funny, man. I mean, you can tell the guys that want to learn and the guys that really just are like, okay, well, that was good enough, so whatever. I'll just wait till next time. It's the guys that pull people aside that weren't in the match with them and say, hey, will you watch this? Hey, did you get a chance to watch any of my match? Could you give me some advice? It's those guys that I always want to see learn and help learn and that sort of thing. So I can't really say, yeah, I'm excited for this person, I'm excited for that person. I'm excited to see who wants to learn and who wants to make this the best show around. That's what excites me. And when you walk into these venues and, man, when you just feel the now vibe from the stage, from the ring, from the venue, from just the staff, from everybody, how you aren't motivated to that level, that I don't understand. Because, dude, I've wrestled in barns, I've wrestled in parking lots, I've wrestled in the fucking rain, bull pain, put a rib on me one night, IWA Mid-South, 3-way, it's like 55 degrees outside and raining on like some lonely Friday night. He tells us to go 45-minute Broadway, which we do because we're young and stupid. They all made fun of us later. Oh, Bull Payne made you work 45 minutes in the rain. Yeah, well, he's Bull Payne. What am I supposed to do about that?
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I've done shows in the most terrible. I had a locker room as a dumpster one time. With just the little dumpster gate and next to the freaking dumpster. So to be an indie guy and to be able to work and walk into the type of environment that now provides should never be taken for granted and should just give you one of these.
Mm-hmm. So how do you foster talent? And I'm just gonna talk about the elephant in the room about JC Slater with his attitude change that happened at Phase 2, who confronted you, laid hands on you. So how do you go about confronting talent in your new role without stepping lines and crossing those lines when not to get physical with talent?
Yeah, that's a good question. And 20-year-old me is very proud of the way that I reacted to the Slater situation, because if it would have been 20-year-old me, we probably would have started fighting. But, I understand what my role is here with now currently, and it's not for that. So, I was really just out there. Well, I was kind of stuck out there. I kind of got trapped because I was wheeling Maury back.
Yep.
And then by the time I got him situated, the music hit, and so I was kind of stuck right there. But I don't see why I wouldn't have went out anyway, especially with the brutality that Slater was, applying to Ali. So, and, also, too, the wrestler in me, I don't really hold it against Slater for reacting. I've reacted that way before against people that were in my position in that moment. So, tempers flare. You get upset. Nobody likes to have a title opportunity taken from them, especially if they feel like they deserve it, whether they do or not in their own mind. So I was proud of the way I reacted. It is tough to know where to draw the line, because you certainly don't want to look like I'm just out there being a pushover,
right?
So I guess just do the best to stand my ground. And if a conversation needs to be had in the locker room after the moment passes, then so be it. But, I'm not out there to get physical, and I'm out there to be professional and help just maintain control of the show. And as long as that's what Lubash and Logan want me to do, that's what I'm going to do.
Has there been any other conversation between you and JC since Phase 2?
No, which is strange because, I do consider the dude my friend, and we didn't used to kick it all the time or whatever, but we would talk throughout the week, and no, nothing.
Yeah, he's went pretty silent. We haven't heard much after his promo. He's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, which kind of scares me, because Lord knows what he's going to show up February 1st, what kind of temper he's going to be in. I don't know.
You guys remember the dark rabbit hole he went down when Shelley left him?
Yeah.
This is like 20 times worse.
Yeah. Can only imagine what's in his mind.
Yeah. I don't know. So is there Is there, and Lonnie kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, is there a particular wrestler in the locker room that you just want to sink your teeth into to like, man, I really want to get them to grow. I really want to see them prosper where they're not really living up to their potential?
Eliminate the last part you just said.
Is there anybody that you want, like specifically want to help grow?
I'm just saying, yeah, I liked everything you said,
Yeah.
Aside from their potential.
Sure.
Like, let's forget that was said.
Sure.
The answer to that question is Logan James. And here's why. The kid loves pro wrestling as much as I do. It is in his DNA. It is deep down within his soul. And that kid listens. That kid is so respectful. He wants to learn, and he wants to be good at being a wrestler. He wants to be good in his role. And that kid, every time I'm around him, he asks me so many questions, and he'll pull so many guys aside. And, hey, did you see this? Hey, what do you think of this? Did this look all right? How could I have done this better? How could we have gone into this better? You know, he always asks really good questions. And so, you know, I hope that kid achieves everything he wants to, because he certainly wants it bad enough.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is with wrestling, everything takes time, including, you know, progressing a story, everything, training, everything takes time. So you just got to be patient, and you got to go through the same thing lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got to be patient. And so, but he has a great attitude, and he's still so young that he's, you know, far from being burnt or disgruntled
Right.
about anything. So as long as he can kind of keep his face out of the bullshit that pro wrestling provides sometimes, that kid will do really well. He's definitely the answer to that question.
Right.
I would love to see that kid just accomplish everything he wants to.
Yeah, and speaking of Logan James, he is in a match on February 1st. It's a ladder match, but our bosses have thrown in a new twist to this ladder match where they're going to be handcuffing 4 people on the outside of the ring, and then at random times they're going to unlock those handcuffs and another person's going to be added in. So as a wrestler, let me get your take on the twist of this match as the talent development side, as the business side, and then as the wrestler side, get your take on the twist.
So I think if I was handcuffed to the post during a ladder match, I would want to be uncuffed early. I would not want anyone to get close to that title before I come into the match. Super stressful because it's out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can do is stand there and deal with it and watch.
Right.
And that sucks. That'll get you fired up. You know, not only that, but you got people around you fighting with this and that and the other thing. I mean, how are you going to protect yourself if somebody decides they just want to charge you with a table or a ladder or a whatever? Nothing. You have to stand there and eat it. So then they uncuff you, and now you can't even move because you've already been broken.
Right.
Lots of aspects to that as a competitor are raises my anxiety to a great deal, because again, you can't control it. You're out of control, and you're pretty much helpless and vulnerable standing on the outside of the ring. What was the other part of that question?
And then on the talent development hat, how do you feel about this match on this side of the curtain rather than as a performer?
Well, you know, I think because we've never seen a match exactly with this stipulation before, it's hard to Monday morning quarterback, because wrestling can provide situations that you've never seen before, and you don't even realize what the aftermath can potentially be until the dust settles. Mm-hmm. And so I think I would be able to better answer that question after this match takes place, and we can all see and realize how this is going to affect everyone involved. You know, I can speculate, but I think a match of this magnitude with this type of stipulation twist, I don't think it's worth it to. It's like trying to pick who's going to win the World Series in April.
Sure.
You're never going to be able to do that. So I don't think we can speculate on that. I think we should just be excited that this is a groundbreaking match, and let's see how the dust settles, because who knows? It could create a situation that none of us ever even thought could happen or present itself or saw coming.
Right.
That's what's awesome about pro wrestling.
Yeah, we could be putting our development into this match for all the time. We could be worrying about who the sixth member is for months, and the match could be over in 30 seconds.
Right, and at that point, the mystery sixth person doesn't even matter at that point, because that, like you said, they may not even get into the match.
Right. And that's tough. And so, lots of stipulations like this, lots of, the tagline is luck of the draw. Not in this situation.
Your luck would be drawing number one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It would be, because that's what you would want. And then you just hope that if you are that first guy unleashed, which would make you the third guy in, then you hope that the first two have beat the shit out of each other enough to where all you got to do is just lay them out with a couple ladder shots and then either win right then and there, or at least control the violence, being uncuffed by running around the ring and just tagging everybody with a ladder.
Right.
I mean, who's to stop you from doing that?
Especially if you're the first two.
Yeah. What if the first two join together? And what if they each grab a ladder and just beat the living piss out of everybody tied to a post? So now you're unhooking dead guys.
Right.
Yeah, you don't know, man. I have no idea how this is going to play out.
Way too many variables.
Way too many.
And I for one, am very excited for that match.
Yeah.
Because like you said, nobody's seen anything like that in this area, on television, on anything. It's a first of its kind.
Yeah, this is innovative.
And like I said, I'm very excited for it.
And it has like an ECW feel to it, Like whenever I visualize just like the blueprint of this match in my mind happening, I just see like this ECW like setting with all these weapons and ladders and all these guys chomping at the bit tied to these posts, and just tempers flaring and egos running wild, and I just everybody's unhooked, and as long as the match is still going on and there's just all this violence and chaos and destruction, and I mean that's what I see.
Absolutely.
I got the chills.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Well, we do want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Man, it's been great.
Any final word from you tonight?
If you're aspiring to be a wrestler or just be a part of indie wrestling in this area, in any means at all, I mean, do yourself a favor and try to reach out to someone. Try to make contact, reach out to the Now page, reach out to anybody, any of us on social media that you find or follow or have befriended, whatever. Look, man, when I made the decision to do what I wanted to do, I was 5'0" nothing, 100 pounds nothing. Okay, there wasn't one person in the world that believed I could do what I wanted to do. Don't let those people defeat you. Still do what you want to do. So especially in this area, man, because this area is a good place to learn and grow. And, hopefully there'll be a school on down the road again to where guys can have a home for that. But definitely don't let anybody ever talk you out of becoming a part of the wrestling business, because it has its pitfalls, sure. But, man, I'm telling you, it's the most wonderful thing.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you being on tonight. That was Jayden Draigo, the Senior of Talent Development for Now This Is Wrestling. Thank you so much. All right. That brings us to the Now Wrestler of the Week, Lonnie. Who do you got this week?
Oh, it was tough. I was thinking of all the guys, and, this week I'm going with the real deal, Brett Bishop. That's all I'm going to say.
That no reason? You're just going to leave me hanging that way?
I'm not allowed to use words this week.
Golly. Yeah, that's right. You're one more word away from a public execution. My now wrestler of the week. I've been thinking about it all week, and it's really hard to choose just one for the week. But I would love my now wrestler of the week. Is not even a wrestler. Right now,
Is it me?
No, it's not you. It's Joey Anderson, our part of our commentary team. If you've read on social media, he has officially retired from in-ring competition. And I'm just very happy that he is continuing to work with us now as part of our commentary team. And if you know Joey at all, he is an amazing guy and very dedicated to wrestling in Omaha. And I look for what the future has to bring for him in the commentary realm, in that seat and behind a microphone.
Yeah, I think him and John have such great chemistry together. They keep each other in line, which I think they both need. And it's going to be so much fun to watch them grow together.
Yeah. All right. We are in the final word. What are we looking forward to this week, Lonnie?
I'm just as the days get closer to now, this is money. Tickets still on sale. We've got some great deals going on. Second row tickets still available. General admission still available. Get your tickets now so you can take part of our pre-show extravaganza we got going on. Meet and greets going on. Come do trivia with us. We still got that offer out to Pete Sanchez.
Yeah, we got to give him a call to figure out if he's accepting that or not. Yeah. And I'm still waiting for a prize, if it's coming from either person's collection or if I just need to go to that toy shop that Ryder and they went to find like an Andre the I don't know, something. We just need something.
We just need $6,499.99 to get a replica Fiend belt.
No, it's not replica. It's handcrafted. It's original. Each one's original.
They're a replica.
Okay.
It's not the real one.
Whatever. Okay. Myself, I'm just looking forward to some downtime. I have just been so busy. I am as busy as a one-legged cat in a sandbox. It's just, I am like burning both ends of my candles. So I'm looking for at least a day off this week.
Yeah. You got any plays coming up or anything like that?
No, not yet. Maybe something in January, a little bit of working at the university I'm at, but I don't know. We'll see. Listen up in the next couple of weeks. We got some huge guests. Donnie Dodge, Duke Cornell. Make sure you're listening. This is Ryan and Lonnie. Have a great night, guys.
See ya.